Izuku, he has too much power. By Snowboo69. Read by My Lost and Found. Summary. Like the title says, Izuku has too much power. But it's fine, because it's really funny. AKA, Izuku basically takes over the world, with the power of God, anime, and a lot of Gen Z jokes by his side. Note, you don't need to read the other parts in the series to understand this fic, but I'd appreciate it if you did. This fic is about 1,800 words and 1 chapter. It is rated general audiences, and no archive warnings apply. This is the 6th and final part of the series in which Midoriya Izuku is a Gen Z in spirit. As always, link to the fic is in the description, and on with the story. In space, the International Space Station was doing what it did every day. Experiments, researching, just plain old work. Although one day, something was off. Not on the station, no, but on Earth. From the dark side of the planet, a bunch of brighter and colorful lights struck out from the other more dimmed yellowish white lights. And on the bright side of the planet, it was the same, except it was a little harder to tell that there were a bunch of lights. When they woke up the next day, as much of a day as possible in space, all of the lights were gone. They shrugged it off, even as the same events would happen over and over again. On Earth, Izuku was using his power on Twitter to gain even more power. In basic terms, everyone who was in Izuku's cult... Izuku? Cult? What are you talking about? It's just some simple global domination. Would blast different songs from the time of the Gen Z. This would include, but not limited to, the Duck Song, the Muffin Song, and the Gummy Bear Song. Some people were ecstatic about these occurrences, and some were not. It most definitely pissed off some older people. The last battle, or what everyone hoped to be the last one. It was the League of Villains against Class 1A. So far, neither side was winning. "You're all going to die," Izuku inwardly sighed. All for One had brought this on himself. Class 1A, all in sync with each other, all chanted out, "We're all gonna die at one point." The rest of the league stopped in their spots. Shigaraki looked towards All for One and back to his class, and spoke for the rest of the league. "Damn, fair. 'Kay, take us to prison or whatever." Shigaraki was the first to put his hands up and surrender, the rest of the league following suit. All for One was the only one who wasn't, and when the league walked over to Class 1A's side, he yelled, "Wait, no, what is going on? Come back!" Izuku just laughed. "What are you doing? Stop this at once!" Izuku laughed again, this time accompanying the laugh with a smaller air attack. "Nah, but okay, Boomer, take an L." All for One was now sprawled on the floor, trying to get up. "I am literally a real Gen Z." Izuku nodded his head towards All for One. "Nah, we don't claim you. Also, get crowbarred, bitch!" All at the same time, his classmates ran over to All for One and started kicking him. Funnily enough, it actually was hurting him more than when they were fighting him head-on. Izuku looked down at the biggest villain of all time. "Before you die, has anyone told you have the same vibe as William Afton? And do you kin him?" "What? No, I fucking don't. Stop!" Izuku had kicked him in the balls, killing him. "Welp, he's gone." A news reporter had gotten this all filmed live, as well as the rest of the league being arrested. They also had caught Izuku walking over to the league, telling them something, as well as giving them phones. Aizawa looked like he was so done. All Might was shook to the bone. All of the other users of One for All were happy, but also very amused. First, in particular, was ecstatic. The rest of the world watching the live stream was thoroughly shocked. Who knew that all it took to get rid of the biggest villain was a kick to the balls? Izuku had somehow gotten onto a parade float, on live television. Hitoshi knew his boyfriend was a little insane, but this? What was even his life? Izuku, on the TV, was yelling into a megaphone. To the guys, girls, non-binary gals, and any other kind of gendered people, what do we want? Crowds all along the street cried out in perfect sync. Too perfect. Death! Izuku was most definitely having fun. Oh well. And when do we want it? The crowd yelled back. Right now! The news reporters were recording this live, looking concerned. They probably were extremely sheltered, but that'd probably change soon enough. Izuku would make sure of it. The chaotic little shit. Izuku is now Japan's president. Don't ask questions. Everyone had just made that their rule of life. When it came to Izuku, you just don't question anything. But back to Izuku. He was currently on the main news station, NHK World. He was giving a speech of sorts. It really was less of a speech and more of random things. Yeah, I'm the president. Don't ask questions. Anyway, remember that TikTok video where the one UA kid asked the last president to take him out to dinner? Well, I'm definitely not the last guy, but I can take you out to dinner if you'd like. He winked at the end of his sentence. While Izuku, on the TV, he's been there for a while now, hasn't he? Kept talking. Back in the dorms, Kirishima went on protective boyfriend mode. He can fight me for that to happen. Shinsou also went protective boyfriend mode. And Kaminari can fight me for the same reason. Kaminari ignored the two of them. Fuck yeah! Nezu had walked up to Shota during his morning coffee break. He already had to deal with the cryptid known as Midoriya. He really didn't want to have to deal with another. Aizawa? Aizawa took a sip of his coffee. Yes. Nezu was carrying around a tablet that was huge compared to him. Do you think if I asked Midoriya nicely, would he give me a small part of the world? Aizawa, shit, I'm scared, pick me up, Zashi. Shota paused, thinking the worst. Not one, but two cryptids trying to take over the world together? Yeah, I think so, was all he gave, trying not to look terrified. Nezu hummed and walked away, leaving Shota with his thoughts. Another reporter was interviewing Izuku. Midoriya Izuku, you have defeated the worst villain from what we know, and you have now taken control of all Asia and some parts of Europe, all while being a student at UA High School, training to be a hero. How have you done this? Izuku, I'm a little chaotic shit, Midoriya, with only complete seriousness in his face, replied, 2 hours of sleep, suicidal thoughts, and an Oreo. The reporter looked baffled. Excuse me? Izuku started laughing immediately. Nah, just pulling your leg. But I did it by Gen Z humor, if you must know. Who let this random reporter not be informed? What is that? Okay. A long sigh from Izuku. Here we go again. Since Izuku had taken over, no, just simply, okay, you got me there. Basically half of the world, it was clear to see that other countries' governments were getting scared. So they had proposed for a United Nations to happen, with whoever the head of the government was. Izuku did indeed show up, representing the new country, Ligma. When Izuku first arrived, the president of France glared at him. Well, more like squinting at the little nameplate thing in front of Izuku. He looked directly in Izuku's eyes. Where are you from? What is the name of your country? He kept squinting at the nameplate. I can't read it. Izuku's face grew a grin. Ligma! Ligma? A couple other countries' leaders either groaned or snorted. Izuku was one of the people who snorted. Ligma balls! The people who did know, which most of the leaders and a couple of reporters were laughing like maniacs, which included Izuku. The poor president of France just looked so confused. Hitoshi and Izuku are both sat down in the teacher's lounge in UA. Recovery Girl and Aizawa, both just left, and were outside the room. Why are they here? And what happened? You might be asking. Well, both little gremlins were caught by Aizawa, them trying to prank all the teachers by putting salt in their coffee machine. Both pros are talking to each other just out of hearing distance of the two teens, probably talking about what they're gonna do with these gremlins. And Izuku knows this, hence why he turns to Hitoshi. I know how to drop my pulse, but only for 60 seconds. Run! And like he says, Izuku just stops breathing for a good second, his pulse also probably dropping to 0. Hitoshi screams, like any sane person does, but does run. Recovery Girl just sighs after Izuku starts breathing and his pulse returns, and lectures him about doing that. Aizawa just lets him and Hitoshi go without any grounding or punishment. So task failed successfully. Midoriya popped up next to where the big three sat during lunch, and asked Tamaki why he was so scared of dogs. Tokuda was very confused, Nejire was confused, and Tamaki looked confused. He mumbled out something that he couldn't hear to Midoriya. Midoriya looked intrigued? Excited? Fair enough. Have a good day. Then he literally disappeared, like he went underneath the table and was suddenly gone. Tokuda looked to Nejire. Hey, I thought that was my thing. Nejire giggled. Damn, I guess he stole that from you. He was very confused. Midoriya was an odd one. Class 1A, or graduated Class 3A as they were now known as, liked to meet up every once in a while, like a family reunion of sorts, but also not. Just to stay in touch, as well as to share what's going on with them. A couple of things that have been shared are Momo and Jiro finally getting together, Denki and Ejiro getting engaged, and Tenya and Ochako admitting that they'd been dating since year 2. The last one was a much bigger surprise, just because both of them were pretty bad at lying and basically shared everything about them. But anyway, Izuku was sitting down watching people talk, and just vibing. Ochako was holding up her phone to Mina, a picture of a dog that was orange and black colored. Oh, and definitely looked huge. This is Reginald. He's a purebred Doberman Hasherman. He costs $2,000 and we're on a waiting list for 2 years to get him. She told proudly to Mina. Mina laughed. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Did anyone else do the other? Oh, fuck yeah. Izuku quickly opens his phone up and goes to his gallery, where there is a picture of 2 cats. One is a calico, with a bit of her ear missing, and the other is an Egyptian Mao, with a bronzish coat. Holding up his phone to the 2, he says with a grin, These are my babies, Chunko and Fuckass. I found them in a dumpster, and I love them more than life itself. And to be fair, he found both cats in a dumpster, so he wasn't lying. Mina and Ochako were both laughing and on the floor at this point. Hitoshi, Denki, and Ejiro walked over to see what was going on. Once explained, Denki offhandedly commented, I always like to question how you're the leader of the world. Ejiro bumped his elbow to his husband's stomach. Just don't question it. You know that's the rules, he said, with a little laugh. And that is the end of this fic and series. It's been a wild ride with a lot of memes and just 100% crack injected into your veins. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. This was fun to do. In general, I'd only heard of like maybe 2/3 of the memes, and I could only remember 1/3 of them off the top of my head, so this was a fun little throwback for sure. And I just love the idea. It's just like, Izuku's president of the world now. Don't question it. It's fine. And it's like, yeah, good for him, I guess. That's great. But yes, that is the end of this fic series. If you guys have enjoyed, make sure to go in the description, click the link to the original work, go leave a kudos, go leave a comment, whatever you can. I am sure the original author appreciates it. Anyway, that is all for this time. I will see you guys next time.